everybody, welcome back to another weekly market review for F45 trading. This week we will be looking at July 13th to the 17th. So we're right in the middle of summer and middle of the month of July, and we've actually got a pretty action-packed week coming up here this week regarding news. So I'll just cover that here real quick. As you can see, Monday starts off relatively slow with the Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking, and then wrapping up the day fairly quiet Monday. But then we get into Tuesday. We do have a French banking holiday on Tuesday for the euro, and then we've got several medium impact news events for US dollar. And then we have the monetary policy statement for the Japanese yen, which, just keep in mind, so far the general theme has been keeping interest rates steady, and I haven't seen any major rate increases or decreases for a little while now, and I am anticipating them continuing that trend at least through the summer. So I wouldn't imagine we'd see anything surprising on that front there. I could be wrong. Definitely take note of it. Especially if you are trading the yen, make sure you don't have any open trades during that time due to fluctuation, and we'll see what the results are, but I'm anticipating them keeping the rates the same. Going into Wednesday, we have a lot of medium impact news events, and then right into the Canadian dollar. New York opened at 8 a.m. with the Bank of Canada monetary policy report and rate statement. So again, the Canadian dollar is not anticipating any changes in interest rates for now, the time being. Not that there's a whole lot more for them to drop down to zero, but I think we'll probably see the rate increases, like I was saying to you, in the fall. So hopefully we won't see any major surprises there. And then we've got crude oil inventory numbers on Wednesday as well too. Make sure you take note of that if you are trading crude oil. And then we've got Australian dollar unemployment rates coming out on Wednesday. And then Thursday, again, a bunch of pound sterling news to start off. And then we've got some euro news along with the monetary policy statement and main refinancing rate. So again, their rates are currently at zero. There's nowhere else to go but negative interest rates, and I don't think they're going to start that yet. So we've got a pretty action-packed news event here for the week, so just make sure you keep aware of that. That was the yen for Monday, the yen for Tuesday, the Canadian dollar for Wednesday, the euro for Thursday, and then on top of the euro on Thursday, we've got US dollar core retail sales and retail sales meeting minutes. And then we've got on Friday we've got Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking. So she started speaking, and now he started speaking on Monday, and he's finishing off on Friday. So again, just have a note of all of those items, just in case, and we'll get into this. So looking at the U.S. dollar, we're still stuck in this range. U.S. dollar hasn't been going too far too quickly. It has been trending down, obviously. We can see for the past 2 weeks it has been making lower lows and lower highs. Very, very small ranges though, and this is fairly indicative of what summer months are trading. What summer trading months are like. So it's to be anticipated. Do we continue to run lower? That's kind of the million-dollar question. It'd be nice if they did run lower, and then if we got below here and then started to see price tank, I think that would be a great move going in through the summer to kind of get the markets out of this little sideways thing that we got. But keep in mind, I mean, this thing consolidated for 3 months in here. We're about 2 months into a consolidation here, so I would anticipate, and especially the summer, I would anticipate this to continue. We could certainly drop down, maybe even take out this low, but I would imagine before the fall we'll probably be back up in this range here again, maybe even above these highs here. We'll see how things go, but for now it's still pretty much in a range. So I am interested to see what happens here though. So as you can see, at the time of this, I'll go down to the hourly, we had the week started open, and we did gap down. Now we did come back up to fill that in, and then price soared down very quickly from there. Now I'm kind of interested to see at the current location where we're at. I am anticipating a bit of a bounce from here, from current location, and possibly a run higher. Now, what I want to see is what happens when we get to this 96.50 level. Do we hit some support in there and then continue lower? And in which case, I'll be looking for them to run out this low, possibly even get into this low here. Or do we, as I say, come in, see a bounce here after we just squeaked below this low here? You can see that right there. Just squeaked below that low there, and now we're starting to head up. I am anticipating a bit of a retrace to give some of this run lower back, but I want to see what happens with 96.50 trades. If we go above 96.50, I'll be looking for them to run through this gap, and if they want to get more bullish than there, I've got these three highs up here, 1, 2, 3, dog tagged at basically 97 even is where we could see price run up to if they want to see a bigger retracement. If 96.50 gets run through, I'm going to anticipate them coming up here. So I want to just sort of see what happens in this area in here. I'd like to see them trade back higher up to 96.50. But, you know, price is obviously, again, summer months, so we may not get a lot of action happening, so just keep that in mind. We look at the range we were in last week, right? You see that? I mean, price opened up nice and bearish and then just stagnated for most of Tuesday into Wednesday. We did have a little bit of a drop, and then it gave all of that back up on Thursday and then came down and finished weaker on Friday. So very, very interesting week thus far. So we'll see what we get. I'd like to see them take out these highs here. We haven't really had much of a stop run. If you look at this downtrend here, price has been setting lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high so far, and I think it's very, very likely that they're going to come back up and shoot through some of these old highs before, just to try and get some of the people who are short offside. So just beware of that. Moving on to the euro, again, euro is really in a tight range right now, and you can see that here. Like, it's just how much time they've spent working these this small little range in here. I'm not anticipating them breaking out of this anytime soon. If it does break out, obviously we've got these highs up here and ultimately this high here, and on the downside we've got several lows down here. Same story as the US dollar. I've noticed though that we've had all pretty much one-sided price action, where price really hasn't wanted to run the lows, except for right in here. This one candle came under these two just very, very briefly, but since then hasn't really wanted to make any significant newer lows, and we're still just kind of going sideways as well too. And we can really see right in here especially where price is just working it constantly for weeks on end. So we'll see what they want to do. Looking at a lower time frame though, I'd like to see this 113.50 level get traded up to and then see where we go from there. Now obviously if we trade higher on euro, it would mean that US dollar is going to drop a little bit lower, which means we could see them trade under this low here. We'll see what we get to start off the week, but I think we're going to start off, I think by Monday we'll probably be up to the 13.50 level into Monday's trading. New York open somewhere in around there, and I want to see what happens up in this level here. If price sees any weakness, then I think there's a very good chance again we could just drop right back into the range. And you know, if we trade through this and push right through 13.50, then I believe that there's a real good chance that we could try to challenge this high up here, which would be great to see. But if we fail to get any higher than that, then you know, start watching some of these lows in here because they may want to start scooping that. Or the other alternative is, and again, just because it is summer months, we could just be banging around in here for the long term, just zigzagging back and forth, which is exactly what price has been doing for the past month and a bit here. Okay, so if you do pick up a long or a short, and you know you're up 20 or 30 pips, and I'm saying this to people in my membership group as well, my private membership group, take some profits at 20 pips, 10 pips. I mean, just take it, because you're not getting big long runners where you're making 100 pips a day. It certainly can happen, but the But the probabilities of that are a lot less in these type of environments. So just make sure you're taking profits at 10, 20, 30 pips for sure, and being sort of happy with that until we start to get back in some nice ranging markets. Okay, so have a look at that up here. I think there's a very good chance we're going to run through there, and ultimately, like I say, if we get any real movement, price might have a peak up in here. It's doubtful, but 14, 20, it's not a very big range either from here. It's only 70 pips, but that could be a target as well too, to the upside if they keep on running. We had a nice deep retracement down here on Friday, and you'll see that the low on Friday just swept below those lows there, and price expanded off very, very aggressively. Whereas we failed on the dollar. Oops, I gotta go to the right time frame. You can see the low that was created on Friday there, and the high that was created on Friday. US dollar failed to get above that high, whereas EurUsd got below those lows. So, and we see the reaction here that's happening. We do have a gap as well too to start off the week, so just make sure you have this marked on your chart. We could see price want to come down and fill that gap in and then expand higher from there. But if we lose, if price goes below this wick here, so if we start getting below here, that's trading from last Friday, keep your eyes down here. They may want to run here, and ultimately price could even want to drop below here. And again, if we get below here, then we're probably just going to make a run for here. But that's probably a long ways away. I don't think Euro is going to do that anytime soon. Again, we're in summer trading, so expect tight ranges and again, 10, 20, 30 pips, and have the bulk of your trade off, and keep a little bit on to see if you can stretch out for highs or old lows and go from there. But I like this level right here. I think there's a very good chance we're going to trade up into there. GBP has been very, very bullish for the past, well, really the start of July, and towards the last couple of trading days of June, we saw some nice bullish price action on GbpUsd. I'm looking for that to continue, and mainly if you look at Euro GBP, this price is falling off quite quickly, and I really like these lows down here for a possible target. So if we do see continued bearishness on Euro GBP, it will by default push GbpUsd higher. So watch for this high here. Again, I'm not suggesting we're going to get there this week, but it could for sure. But I definitely like this high here, and I like the fact that we had such a big bullish move out of there. If for whatever reason price does want to hesitate and not take out that old high and ultimately this old high here, and we do see a bit of a retracement, just keep your eye under here. See this right back to this consolidation level. We could see price want to trade back through there. If we go back through there and price on the 4-hour closes below this consolidation, then I think there's a real good chance we're going to run back through this consolidation as well too. Like if they closed on the 4-hour through here, I don't think their plan would be just to rebalance back to this consolidation. I think they're going to come deeper on that. And then now that's kind of why I have this line here on the chart, just to kind of remind yourself to look underneath these lows here for a possible return back down if this area gives way. So just watch for that. But until that happens, or until we run through this low here, my eyes are going to be set to this target here and possibly that target there. And so far, price opening on the week, we did gap. You can see that just a little bit of a gap down right there to open the week. Price stayed there for about 45 minutes and then expanded up very, very nicely and ran. And actually, if you had been in my members group, you would have got the notification of this move right here after price opened up. We saw a big expansion and then a opportunity to buy right in there. So even on Sundays, if you see them, take them and grab them, because they do work out to be nice little trades. As you can see, that would have netted you about 35, 40 pips right there. So just some advantages of joining us at F45. Okay, U.S. dollar. Excuse me, U.S. CAD. I still don't have anything to say about U.S. CAD, and I know I apologize. It sounds like a broken record on this one. Um, but until we start seeing it break out of this range, it's in a really, really tight range here. I just don't have much to go off of it. Although, if we do see a drop on the U.S. dollar, have a look at those two lows right there. Those will get run out right away. But you can see the difference. We've had a steady kind of slow moving run lower on US dollar, whereas US CAD has just been going sideways. Now, it is very possible that we could be waiting for this week's interest rate announcements, which are on Wednesday. So I think once we see what happens here, we'll probably end up seeing a little bit of a break in market structure on US CAD. So we can worry about it then. So we'll just kind of hold off on US CAD until something changes a little bit from there. And finally, Aussie dollar, same sort of thing as US CAD. We were ranging a little bit in here, and I was hopeful that we were actually going to start bucking the trend on Aussie a little bit, but you can see it's just, especially the past 5-6 days of trading, just like a ping pong ball, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Pretty tough environment to trade in. Keep your eyes this week on those equal lows down there. Definitely much more dominant than any of the other pairs. And if we do see lower prices on US dollar, we should see higher prices on Aussie. You can see we're starting out this week nice and high, moving up, and here's what it looks on a lower time frame. But you can really see just prices just back and forth, and this is they're pretty tight ranges. I mean, if you look at body highs to body lows, I mean, we're only talking about 60 pips. So right now you should be buying the highs, selling the highs and buying the lows. Make sure I say that again. You should be selling the highs and buying the lows, because that's how you can trade in a consolidation. When price goes up to the consolidation high, you sell it and wait for it to drop down, and vice versa. Okay. So again, until we break out of this sort of little stagnant, tight little range in here, I'll wait to call something on the Aussie. But I do like this. I like when price compresses like this and gets really, really tight, because there's a big move coming up fairly soon. So we're going to be watching for that. Okay, I'm going to just talk about crude oil real quick and then have a quick look at gold, and then we'll wrap this up. So crude oil, again, we hit this old gap back here on crude oil on the cash price. Now, if you look at the futures contract on crude oil, you'll notice there still is a bit of a gap in place. There is the potential for crude oil to continue to push a little bit higher, but I really, especially in the summer, I really don't think we're going to see big bullish price action coming in on crude oil. So, and you look where we've been sitting. Like, look at price on crude oil. Again, very, very similar to what I've been talking about here. Summer months, it's just sort of a stagnant period of trading for about 6 weeks. Not a whole lot to talk about here. Had a nice sell-off last Thursday and into Friday, only to give it all back on Friday. I was actually traveling on Friday, and I didn't get any of this move in here, so hopefully some of you got that, because that was a pretty impressive $2 move on on crude oil. So from here, what do? Again, we've had a bit of a gap to start off the week. I'd be looking for this gap to fill a little bit better than that, and then possibly, if we don't go any lower than right in here, and we stay above this level, if price comes up to this gap and we stay above this level here, then we'll probably want to run out and run higher and start getting up into these highs here. But if this level breaks and we start trading lower, especially if it does not come up to fill the gap first, and we start trading lower than this little, basically, if we start trading lower than right here, my eye is going to go back down to this old consolidation, or this previous consolidation level down here from Friday. I think there's a good chance that price will slam down into that. So watch for that on crude oil. I think that's going to happen. So again, I'll say that real quickly. If price comes up and fills the gap from current location, if it comes back down again, I'd be watching very, very closely 40, you know what, we'll say 40.35. If 40.35 gives it up, then I think we're probably going to trade down to here. If we go lower straight from here and not fill this gap, that's very, very bearish. And I think it's going to be a clear straight shot back down to here. Okay, so I'm going to be watching that for the week and see what transpires there. And then finally, gold. We put in some new highs in gold last week, so I don't know if you guys are trading that at all, but had a nice breakout Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday finished soft. You can see we're already starting out the gate pretty strong for Monday. But I do think that price is very likely to return back down to the 1745 level. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that going forward. But just watch gold. Keep watching gold, folks, because it's very, very bullish. I think we're going to see some big things with gold here very soon. Okay. That's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, please make sure you follow us on Twitter at F45 Trading. Like and share this video if you got something out of it and you think it helps your trading a little bit. And by all means, please check us out at f45trading.com and all of our membership options there. I hope you guys have a great summer, and again, have a great week of trading, and I'll be back next Sunday for another market review. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you then.